Dead, another in critical condition after a school shooting in Richfield, Minnesota, a suburb of Minneapolis. Police say the victims were shot on a sidewalk just outside the school around noon. Then officers believe two suspects fled in a tan SUV. The FBI and ATF are investigating. Governor Tim Walz was scheduled to visit an elementary school in Richfield today, but it was postponed. His office has not confirmed whether he was scheduled to visit this particular school. Stick with Valley News Live for updates on this developing story. New at 4, police have taken a suspect into custody in response to an active shooter report on Bridgewater College campus in Harrisburg, Virginia. The situation is unfolding and possible injuries related to the situation are unknown. The college ordered everyone to shelter in place. Students and faculty at Howard University got the all clear for class after an early morning bomb threat drew law enforcement to campus. It's just one of many threats made toward historically black universities. The FBI and the ATF have been investigating the threats since early January. Yesterday, Bowie State University in Maryland issued an order to shelter in place while threats were investigated at 6 other schools.
I will say that these are certainly disturbing, and the White House is in touch with the interagency partners, including federal law enforcement leadership on this.
It's not clear if the threats earlier in January are connected to this latest group of threats, but it is something that investigators are looking into. Well, it's still windy across the valley with blowing snow creating hazards on the roads outside of town. Just within the last hour, I-29 closed from Grand Forks to the Canadian border. Chief Meteorologist Hutch Johnson has the latest. Hutch?
That's right. That's what's going on near the Canadian border, and a look at the South Dakota border area there from our Dakota Magic Casino cam. Wind whipping up, visibility reduced, but it's really keeping things quite icy out there as well. And we still have very gusty winds. First alert weather day does continue. Let's get to the details. Here are the headlines. First and foremost, we are wondering about this wind. If you're wondering when the gusty nature settles down, it's going to be a while still. Gusts over 35 miles per hour set to continue. Near zero visibilities will continue as we still have blizzard conditions for our northern valley. Then we turn our attention to frigid cold, sub-zero temperatures overnight with wind chills to 45 below. Dangerous cold. This is what it looks like. I-29 near Pembina. Again, I-29 closed up north there. So we look in at the Highway 59 area in Lancaster. You can see the wind. Anywhere we got some measurable snow, mainly the northern valley, visibility is reduced to a half mile or less at times. It's 3/4 of a mile for Cavalier. Hallock at a half of a mile. Crookston, pretty tough to see there. In town, it's a half of a mile. Winter weather advisory continues for the Southern Valley all the way down towards Watertown and out toward Baudette and Bemidji. The blizzard warning continues for western Polk County. It does not include Grand Forks, but East Grand Forks north to the international border in Roseau County. Those winds are just nasty out there. Now, we have the strongest gusts reported in the James River Valley right now, over 40 miles per hour there, but the rest of us still generally over 25 to 35 miles per hour. Here's the visual look at that closure of Interstate 29, Grand Forks to the international border. No travel advisories up there, and some snow-covered roads from the Thief River area up into northwest portions of Minnesota. Temperatures are on their way down. When will the wind cease? It doesn't really cease, but it gets less gusty into the overnight as we will struggle with dangerous wind chills into the morning hours, and even colder temperatures expected up in our northern counties. We do have less wind in the forecast, but even more cold. Hour by hour details coming up here, Stacy, in just a few moments.
All right, thanks so much, Hutch. A lot to watch there, and it's a good idea to keep that VNL weather app handy so you can stay on top of those weather conditions. You can download and use it for free. Just search VNL Weather in your app store today. Fargo Mayor Tim Mahoney has officially announced his run for re-election. Today, he filed his candidacy with the Cass County Auditor's Office. Mahoney has served as mayor since 2015. Before that, he was Fargo's deputy mayor for 6 years and a city commissioner for 9. Mahoney is a surgeon practicing part-time at Lake Region Healthcare in Fergus Falls, but today he said he would consider retiring from medical practice if re-elected as the mayor of Fargo. At this time, 4 others have filed to run as candidates for mayor: Dustin Elliott, Shannon Rose Jones, Arlette Preston, and Hukunda Barr. Minnesota lawmakers launched their 2022 legislative session yesterday. Leaders expressed optimism that they'll reach bipartisan agreement on some major items like public safety, tax relief, and a construction bonding bill. Democrats and Republicans agree part of the state's record $7.7 billion projected surplus should be used to replenish the state's unemployment insurance trust fund, and some should go back to taxpayers, either in the form of a one-time payment or some form of long-term tax cut. Today is Caucus Tuesday in Minnesota, marking the start of the midterm election season. A caucus is a series of meetings where residents can meet with others in their political parties, learn about candidates, choose delegates, and suggest changes to party platforms. Voters can find where their local caucus information is on the state's Caucus Finder online. It's now official. Tom Brady is retiring. Brady made his announcement in an Instagram post this morning. Sources close to Brady say the 7-time Super Bowl champion is calling it a career at the age of 44. Brady won the MVP award 3 times in a record-setting professional career that lasted 22 years. He also helped the New England Patriots win 6 Super Bowl titles. Native American tribes in the U.S. have reached settlements with drug maker Johnson & Johnson and the country's 3 largest drug distribution companies over the toll of opioids. The settlement is for $590 million, according to a court filing made today. All federally recognized tribes will be able to participate in the settlements, even if they didn't sue over opioids. Municipalities are also nearing the final stages of settlements worth $26 billion with state and local governments across the U.S. Big news on the COVID front today. A game changer for the health of young children could be just around the corner. Pfizer just applied for emergency authorization for a 2-dose regimen of its COVID-19 vaccine for children ages 6 months to 5 years. Laura Podesta has more.
Soren Good was just 8 months old when he received his first Pfizer vaccine last May. His big brother Andal was also vaccinated, both part of Pfizer's clinical study at Stanford University.
It was a 4-year-old had a reaction, a little bit of a sore arm for a day, and that was the only symptom he had. Soren didn't have any reaction.
Their mother, Zena Good, is also an immunologist and said taking part in the trial was a no-brainer.
This disease can be quite serious. This vaccine is very safe, and now there is evidence that it really protects you.
According to the American Academy of Pediatrics, the recent Omicron surge led to the highest number of COVID-19 cases among children since the pandemic began, more than 3.5 million cases last month alone. Over the last 2 years, there have been more than 11.4 million cases among children and teens. Dr. Yvonne Maldonado leads the research at Stanford University School of Medicine.
Since the beginning of the pandemic, if you look at hospitalizations for COVID, we are seeing that the under 5s tend to have the highest hospitalization rates. So I think that's a group that is especially vulnerable.
Pfizer's 2-dose regimen for young children could become available within days. The drug maker found it safe and produced an immune response, but it's still testing a 3-dose regimen.
It will likely be done pretty soon, meaning maybe March or April.
Good says she's relieved both of her children are fully immunized.
I'm just very, very grateful and feel very fortunate that my kids had a chance to receive this vaccine.
And she says she's grateful to the scientists who made the child vaccine happen. Laura Podesta, CBS News, New York.
Meanwhile, a new study at Oregon Health Science University finds people who have the best immunity toward COVID-19 have hybrid immunity, where they were either fully vaccinated and caught COVID or caught COVID then got the vaccines, though they're still not sure how long that immunity lasts. Meanwhile, some health leaders now say if you caught COVID after your original vaccines but before your booster, you don't have to wait to get boosted as long as you're no longer contagious. Novavax is now asking the FDA to authorize its protein-based COVID vaccine for adults. The vaccine is already available for use in at least 170 countries, but not in the U.S. If cleared for emergency use, it would provide an alternative to the popular mRNA-based shots from Pfizer and Moderna. The FDA is expected to take several weeks to review the application. Novavax CEO has said the vaccine could be authorized by U.S. regulators as early as this month.